The program that you're about to hear contains material that may be offensive to some listeners. Listener discretion is advised.
Go ahead. Make my day.
2, 1, 0.
Hello and welcome to Right and Writer, the official podcast of the Washington Free Beacon, sponsored by Calm. I am your host, Elizabeth Harrington. You can follow me on Twitter at LizWFB. The Free Beacon podcast is available on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a review. Joining me from the right today is Free Beacon Editor-in-Chief Matthew Continetti. You may remember him from such mainstream media programs as Meet the Press Daily and Reliable Sources. You can follow him on Twitter at Continetti. Hello, Matt.
Hello, Liz.
And further to Matt's right is Free Beacon President Aaron Harrison, who has never had to apologize for his teenage poetry. We're not exactly sure what he does around the office, but he signs the checks, and that's good enough for us. Hello, Harrison.
Happy alleged final day of winter, Liz.
Thanks. Up first on Right and Writer, President Trump has been on a Twitter tear lately, calling Kellyanne Conway's husband a total loser, hitting John McCain for his involvement passing around the dossier, and the fake news media for not reporting he donates his $400,000 salary back to the government, and defending Fox News hosts Tucker Carlson and Jeanine Pirro, saying, quote, "Be strong and prosper, or be weak and die." Meanwhile, Trump's approval rating is ticking up. 7 in 10 Americans say the economy is in good shape, the highest since 2001. And Trump is more popular in New York than commie millennial Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Matt, the economy hums along.
And it's Donald Trump's secret weapon. You know, he pledged to restore the vitality in the American economy, get us back to growth, get the job market going again. When in 2016 we almost flirted with recession there briefly and had been slow, and he has achieved it. And it's a combination of his policies, and so he deserves credit for it. And the other factor in the combo is just the natural business cycle. We've had a very long recovery, but nonetheless, his policies have helped, and it is the key to his re-election. If you tune out all the noise, all the tweets, all the media yammering about Trump, everyday Americans are doing pretty well. We have prosperity and we have peace, and those are usually the factors that go in to a re-elected president.
Harrison?
Well, as you all know, it's tax season, and I actually have a letter from everyone's favorite little girl, Lil Ivanka, who wants to...
She can write?
Oh yeah. She's very
a
advanced.
Prodigy.
She's a fast learner.
She helped Dad do his taxes this year.
Wow.
And when she saw the
You don't need
bottom
a
line
snowplow.
result, she gave me
Was that
this
before or
letter.
after she puked on you?
It was, well, look, there's been a lot of vomiting going on in our household. Cold season, flu season has really stepped its game up this year.
Yeah.
Right before tax season. Dad usually pukes after paying his taxes, but this year...
This year, yeah, no need, not necessary.
So what does she say?
She wrote this little letter right here, and she says, "Dear," she wanted me to read this on air to the president, because as we all know, he listens.
Yes.
She says, "Dear President Trump, thank you so much for giving my mama and dad the $2,000 child tax credit in the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which we passed last year, and now they can use that to go buy me presents. Thank you." That's it. She wants presents.
So eloquent.
Yeah, it's very eloquent. I mean, look, she's...
Knows her details
Now,
about those
I
tax
don't want to
credits.
spoil your fun, but you know who was behind the family tax credit?
Who?
Mr. Marco Rubio.
Listen, Lil Marco, for all of his warts and comb overs, Lil Marco at least has been solid on tax policy. I am a fair arbiter of truth around here. I will give credit where it is due. But Lil Ivanka is elated that her parents now have more money to go buy her presents whenever they want. So that's why President Trump's job approval is ticking up all throughout tax season this year. April 16th, I think it may be at a new record.
All right, up next, NYU students accosted Chelsea Clinton when she was attending a vigil for the New Zealand mosque shootings because Chelsea is personally responsible for that attack because she called anti-Semitic comments anti-Semitic. The radical student wearing a Jobs for All, Medicare for All, College for All, and Justice for All t-shirt wanted Chelsea to, quote, feel deep inside that 49 people died because of the rhetoric that she put out there. What was that dangerous rhetoric? Quote, we should expect all elected officials, regardless of party, and all public figures to not traffic in anti-Semitism. Harrison, what a nice base the Democratic Party has.
This is who they are. This is what they're doing. This is where it's going to go for them for the rest of the primary campaign that, I don't know, is going to last the next 30 years or whatever. That seems to never end with all these candidates running. Look, this is more of an indictment of the accuser than anything else. The attacker, I will call her an attacker for accosting pregnant, poor little Chelsea Clinton. Look, I know that is where the hard left of the Democratic Party sits these days. I question her sanity because why is she caring about what Chelsea Clinton says anyway? Yeah. I mean, Chelsea Clinton might be the most irrelevant person in American politics today, and so she wants to go.
It just made her more relevant.
Start chucking stones and insults and at Chelsea Clinton of all people. I mean, perhaps they fear something that I fear as well, which is that Hillary Clinton gets back into the presidential race. I believe that her window is wide open. Nobody is scaring her out of it, and so possibly that is their biggest fear, that Hillary gets back in and beats Bernie again, because these were Bernie people, and that is the heart of the anti-Semitic left. It's the Bernies, it's the AOCs, Ilhan Omar, all of the radical, the terroristic trio of the House. Yeah. They're all out there. They are all against Jewish people. They are against Israel, and it is something that is really, really ugly.
This was ugly.
Look, the Democratic Party is going to have to police its own. Maybe the sympathy that is engendered by looking at pregnant Chelsea Clinton getting accosted in public is going to cause them to do something and start policing their own party. But I just think it is. They are in the wilderness, and the wild animals are running the party.
Yeah, Matt.
This is the mother of all non sequiturs.
Yeah.
To suggest that condemning anti-Semitic rhetoric somehow leads to the mass murder of Muslims is insane.
It's so
insane. It doesn't. I don't even understand the logical steps that take you from statement A to statement B, unless you suggest that to criticize any Muslim official is Islamophobia and incitement, and that is an exception. That is, we do not make in a democracy. The problem is, as Harrison says, is that this attitude is being mainstreamed by people like Linda Sarsour, who said basically the same thing and who stood by the verbal assaulter or the heckler of Chelsea Clinton. And it's dangerous because Sarsour is connected to Louis Farrakhan, and yet she's a Bernie supporter. And Harrison says Bernie is the one. He's not saying these things himself, but all of the people he's bringing into politics believe it. And he's mainstreaming it. He's the instrument of the mainstreaming of this type of rhetoric. And it's going to lead to a situation like you see in the Labour Party in England, where it's so beset by anti-Semitism scandals that people, even though they don't like Theresa May all that much, are so terrified of the alternative in Jeremy Corbyn that they continue to back her government.
Right.
Well, that's such a good point that you bring up. It's like you always hear the left in the media talking about how Trump sends dog whistles to the white supremacists out there and the radical rightists out there that are causing mayhem and havoc all over the world. And you never hear them say the same thing about Bernie. Why are they so afraid to call out Bernie's dog whistles? They do backflips to call out and make up Trump dog whistles all over the place, but they are too afraid to call out Bernie and his ilk in that party.
All right, up next, Beto is using the most of his privilege as a white, straight male and raised a record $6.1 million on his first day. But of course, he's already apologizing for said white privilege and his totally normal poems he wrote as an amateur computer hacker, in which he fantasized about cows scrubbing his balls and running over 38 children with his car in a murderous rage. Meanwhile, new polling shows Biden with a commanding lead in early primary states at 39%. But this race isn't over yet. Bill de Blasio drew Sandra Fluke-level crowds in New Hampshire at an event attended by 6 people. Matt, impressive.
Well, it's better than 5, as Brett Baer observed.
Thoughts
with
on
de Blasio, right? Even his aides say it would be a effing horrible idea.
Right.
So I wonder if he takes the hint. I don't know. He doesn't seem like the guy who reads social cues.
BDB
very
has
well.
my support in the Democratic
BDB.
Yeah.
Though Beto, there's this divergence. The media has been highly critical of him and has emphasized his gaffes and his kind of bizarre behavior, whether it's as a young person or his propensity to jump up on surfaces. You know,
coffee bars,
it's kind of like a cat.
tables.
He goes to the highest plane, and
Much easier to talk down to the people from up high.
Well, in one photo I saw, he was kind of squatting on the counter.
Yeah,
while
what
he
was that?
talking. Well, here's the deal. So we make fun of it, but the voters seem to like it. And you see him drawing these crowds, and he has this. He's garnering interest, and that money haul was big. And I think it sets a marker for Biden, because if Biden gets in, as seems to be expected next month, and doesn't draw that amount of money right away,
Yeah, they're going to be fudging the numbers to make sure.
That 39% is a ceiling, not a floor. And a lot of people are going to be looking to Beto, for all of his weaknesses, to be the one who can try to stop Bernie.
They always need a new savior.
Does anybody actually think Biden is going to raise that type of money?
No.
Especially from the small
donors
out there?
No way.
Hell no. Biden is the most traditional politician in the Democratic field. He will put forth a large donor number, but the problem with those donors, as we all know, is that once they're cashed in, they don't come back. Like, it's over. They can't. They're limited. They can't continue to flip over. $5 here, $10 there. Sign a petition and give us another $20 here, which is what the small donors do, and that's how you continue to fund these campaigns throughout the duration of a primary. Biden, Matt is exactly right. He is at his ceiling right now, 39%, and that is a number that is not scaring anybody out. Hillary Clinton was always over 50% in the Democratic primary leading up to actual votes.
Yeah.
This is a big problem for him. And with Beto, I am just struck by the love that Beto gets from the Obama caucus, is what I'm going to call of the Democratic Party. It's that Beto's rhetoric is just like Obama's. It is empty nothingness. There is no vision. There are no answers to anything, just so long as it sounds good. And he's far less eloquent than Obama ever was.
Yeah.
So it really is just he is a poor man's Obama, but
He's
that is
got
why
to
they
wear a
love him.
T-shirt.
What's that?
He's got to wear a T-shirt because he's got sweat stains every time
And
I
he's
see
always
him
wearing the
speak.
same shirt.
Just put on a T-shirt.
Well,
Yeah.
I like how
really embrace the skateboarding.
Obama wore a T-shirt. Just wear a T-shirt. It's not inauthentic.
Well, my real question is, what the hell is Beto doing renting a minivan? He's a billionaire. Just go buy a freaking bus, dude. Like, you can do this. It is not, you don't get penalized for dumping your own money into your campaign. He is out there faking that he is another man of the people.
Oh, we gotta get
we're
gas.
going to spend months criticizing and making fun of his shtick.
Yeah.
And even as he continues
I'm already
to do well.
over it.
Now, I mean, what the one thing is, we saw the money, but I want to look at the polls.
Yeah.
Because, he was riding high in the polls in December, and then he sank. And then Bernie and Kamala have had the best launches, and Biden sits there on top like that, high pressure system off the coast.
I think Beto is having a good moment right now.
If he gets back in, if he dislodges Kamala or something, then that's a great launch for him.
All right, now it's time to check in with our sponsor, Calm. Stress is a worldwide epidemic. We're working longer hours. We're inundated with the constant news cycle. We're more connected than ever before. Stress is a part of life, but it can very easily affect our overall well-being. That's why we're partnering with Calm, the #1 app to help you reduce your anxiety and stress to help you sleep better. More than 40 million people around the world have downloaded it. If you head to calm.com/WFB, you'll get 25% off a Calm premium subscription, which includes guided meditations on issues like anxiety, stress, and focus, including a brand new meditation each day. There are also sleep stories, which are bedtime stories for adults designed to help you relax. Head to the magical lavender fields of southern France with Stephen Fry, or explore the moonlit jungles of Africa with Leona Lewis. They even have soothing music and much more. Right now, Free Beacon podcast listeners can get 25% off a Calm premium subscription at calm.com/WFB. That's CALM.com/WFB. Get unlimited access to all of Calm's content today at calm.com/WFB. Get calm and stop stressing. Now it is time to check in with our generational ambassador, Paul Crookston. Hello, Paul.
Hello, Liz.
What's going on?
Well, because the children are our future, I want to update you guys on the generation following mine. Generation Z, or as
Our
some
favorite.
of us, as some of us like to call them, Zoomers.
Zoomers.
Z boomers.
Who calls them that?
People on the internet. Lulbertarians and whatnot. Now, Zoomers are the ones born after 1996 or so. And
Okay.
so they're the vast majority of undergraduate students right now. And a Wall Street Journal report shows they're having a little trouble dating. You might have heard of Carrie Cronin, a philosophy professor at Boston College. She teaches a freshman course on Western culture.
I haven't heard of her.
Well, no, because she's been quoted in some of these think pieces about the younger generation for years about assigning. No, she assigns her freshman students to ask someone out on a date, and she says Zoomers are the toughest case yet.
Yeah, that sounds actually like a little bit of pressure. That why would they be pressuring?
But at
how
least
is
this
that
is
not
an
like
actual
sexual
life
harassment?
skill.
Yeah.
Yeah, how is this allowed in the Me Too era?
Well, here's why it's a life skill. It helps people discover themselves. See, the assignment is pretty simple. Ask someone out in person, go on a one-on-one date, and don't get physical. It's a way of learning about other people and oneself.
That is so lame.
Well, you
if you're
can't
in
say
college-
get physical if you're a college professor, and that's the homework.
Well, you're supposed to get to know them as a
That's
person.
definitely a problem.
Yeah. Well, the idea is physical stuff can happen, but it shouldn't be the
That's
focus
not
of the
the
date.
requirement.
It shouldn't be a hookup
You
kind
don't
of a
need
thing.
to get physical to get an A.
Yes.
Okay.
100%. But anyway, so the students, because of these requirements, they're actually hailing this as a revelation. One student said,
They've never gone on a date before.
well, yes, no, exactly. One student said, going on a date helps us get over our fear of failure. Another said, we're afraid of human interaction. We imagine the worst case scenario, so best not to overthink it. Another said, it makes us feel more vulnerable, and that vulnerability helps us learn more about ourselves.
They
So
need to
shouldn't you be
stop
glad?
talking about their feelings. This is bad.
I think Zoomers need to learn about themselves, though. They've been so micromanaged, throughout high school and stuff by the snowplow parents.
We'll get to
which
that.
I know you're talking about later. These parents who micromanage everything that their kids face.
All right, Paul. Let's get to the real news here, and that is something you were just talking about before the show, and that is a movie review.
Well,
Please
yes.
tell our audience your latest reaction to a film you watched.
Yes. So unfortunately, Tyler Perry's A Medea Family Funeral was a major disappointment. And it's the last entry actually for the Medea character, and it really feels like just sending off your best creation on the worst note. And it's a
Have
shame.
you seen? How many of the Medea movies have you seen?
3.
And how many are there?
There's like a dozen.
Oh, I thought you were a fan.
It's basically
Recent convert.
the Medea movies are basically this generation's version of the Ernest movies from the 80s. Like Ernest Goes to Camp, like Medea goes to family dinner. Or
My
something.
next. Have you ever seen the Ernest movies?
No.
No. Well, as our millennial ambassador, we
Why
shouldn't
would he?
expect you to. So you've seen What was the one that you just saw of Medea?
A Medea family funeral.
And you were disappointed?
Yeah, it's not fresh, and it unfortunately, I know, a shocker right after all the movies that have come out, but it's a little too dark. There's a lot of death. There's a lot of
funeral was in the title.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
and it's a Medea funeral, so you wouldn't go in. You'd expect like a good.
Does Medea
rollicking
expire at the end of the movie?
No,
No,
she's
spoiler
still
alert.
kicking.
Spoiler alert.
She's still kicking.
Stop listening now if you don't.
So she can always come back.
Yes, and I think some people are assuming that's going to happen. Tyler Perry says no go on that.
Right.
Yeah, Medea goes to hell.
That's good. All right. Well, thank you, Paul. So not just
Thank you.
generational. Okay. Up first in our culture round, the Varsity Blues college admissions scandal has shined a light on the disturbing trend of snowplow parents. Helicopter parenting is so 20th century, the New York Times reports, as affluent parents now act as snowplows for their children. Quote, clearing any obstacles in their child's path to success so they don't have to encounter failure, frustration, or lost opportunities. Sometimes it starts even before the child is born, getting them on elite preschool wait lists. It continues throughout high school, getting the kid on sports teams, and then, of course, getting them accepted to the best colleges, where the kids end up leaving because they can't handle everyday life problems like encountering sauce. Quote, one came home because there was a rat in the dorm room, the Times reports. Some didn't like their roommates. One didn't like to eat food with sauce. Her whole life, her parents had helped her avoid sauce, calling friends before going to their houses for dinner. At college, she didn't know how to cope with the cafeteria options covered in sauce. Kids at Stanford have had their parents set up play dates to meet friends as well. Matt, are you a snowplow parent?
I don't want to be. I don't want to be. But, and as you read that, I'm thinking here, there might be a kind of a silver bullet to all of these stories that we spend so much time discussing on Right and Writer. And that is a future Supreme Court empowered by the judicial philosophy of Randy Barnett, the libertarian law professor at Georgetown, needs to use the Ninth Amendment to strike down all child labor laws. Because
Yes.
now that children are not economically necessary, right? Now that children have become basically a very expensive consumer good,
Yeah.
okay? We pamper them. We spoil them. We treat them like pets,
Yeah.
right? And because the ones of us who don't have kids have pets.
Right.
But it seems like a large number of young parents today, or not so young parents, but people who are in their 50s, like the Lori Loughlin types who were implicated in the college admissions scandal, they're treating their children like pets. Oh, Miss Kitty doesn't like sauce. No more sauce. We can't give her sauce. Right? And it's wrecking psychological havoc on these children.
It
so
is.
Put them to work. That's
Yes.
my solution.
And at least little Ivanka is independent already, writing letters to the president.
She can be a CPA. Apparently, she
Listen,
did his taxes.
She's been moving bricks since she was 6 months old. Okay, she moved a lot of bricks last year.
R.I.P. Lil Tay.
Yeah, well, she's not. She'll be back. Look at some ups and downs. In
Well,
the
there is a
industry.
child who's working.
You're right.
Yeah, exactly.
Gotta
no,
flex.
she's earning her
Moving
keep.
those bricks.
Moving bricks, doing taxes,
Living the American dream.
Yeah, writing very eloquent letters to the President of the United States. She's a real influencer, which is a big thing in Paul's generation, and I guess she technically is a Zoomer. So,
Oh, yeah. When did the Zoomers end? Have they cut off yet, Paul?
I think if you're
12 years from now, according to AOC.
I think they probably stopped being born like 6 or 7 years
So
ago.
we all cut off. Right. So technically then, if you have a child under 6, that's the generation after the Zoomers.
Yeah, and they're going to need a name once they're like
You know what?
adolescents and
Just
bi-
based
Once
on
they're
my
even worse
based on my
than these
children,
kids.
they're going to be the reactionary generation.
Good.
That's what they-
If there's any
That's what
hope
they're
for
going to
our
be.
survival.
We're going to need it. We are going to need it.
Harrison, or you?
What?
He's done.
You were done?
Yeah, no,
That was
look,
it? I thought
look.
you were getting to something.
Well, she's
How could he when my comment was so definitive?
right. No, there's nothing. Look,
I
Lily
apo-
Zonka
my mistake.
is such an alpha. Like, I pretty much work for her at this point.
True. All right. Up next, Taco Bell hot sauce has saved yet another life after a man stranded in a snowstorm in Oregon for 5 days was able to survive on nothing but Taco Bell hot sauce packets. Another man's life has been spared. The Takeout reports a Florida man was dining in at a Taco Bell when he decided to get up from his seat to procure more hot sauce. Mere seconds later, an elderly man crashed through the front of that Taco Bell with his car, hitting the table where the hot sauce retrieving customer had been sitting just moments before. Harrison, the sauce moves in mysterious ways.
Well, it certainly does. And as somebody who's consumed multiple gallons of Taco Bell hot sauce over the course of his adolescence, his adulthood, and his zoomerness...
It's not a thing.
You can't become a zoomer. I feel like I
You're
can
born a zoomer.
self-describe as a zoomer.
The Zoomers cannot eat sauce.
Well, look, I'm one of these guys that's like in between generations.
They're terrified of sauce.
I don't have my
even
own
though it will
generation.
save them.
Well, listen, it's not the first. We have a very condiment-heavy culture segment today, don't we? So. Look, it's not the first time that packets of condiments have saved some people.
Of course not.
If anybody recalls the most famous episode of The Sopranos,
yes,
Pine Barrens
saved
the lives of Paulie Walnuts and
Christopher.
Out when they were trapped in the van in the middle of the Pine Barrens, they were starving to
packets.
death. Yes,
Paulie wasn't going to share it with Christopher.
No, but that kept them alive. They were out there for an excess of about 10 hours, and they nearly starved to death. And honestly, that's probably the one reason that the Russian allegedly survived, because they had to go back because they were so hungry, and they had to eat some ketchup. So, look, these little packages, they last for decades, is what I'm told, and
yeah,
good for Taco Bell, and also good for them for giving this guy free Taco Bell for a year.
Yeah, Matt.
I just want to say I've never seen someone so animated by a topic on our show as Paul was. As you were reading, I'm just curious why.
Oh, this story has it all. You've got Florida man saved by Taco Bell. You've got the old geriatric who's driving into buildings.
Right.
I think as a millennial,
combines a lot of elements.
And no one was hurt. It's a nice feel-good story on
meme
Right and
culture.
Rider.
No,
Yeah.
I literally saw a Virginia vanity plate on a truck this morning as I was walking into work that said FLA man. Florida man. So.
Oh, that's kind of a good one.
I do have a little bone to pick with Taco Bell hot sauce, because they changed the primo formula that they had back in the day. It used to be just mild and hot, and then they like revamped it about 15 years ago, and they brought out fire sauce and like some other stuff. So it's like,
why
but
make it so complicated?
They still have hot and they still have fire. Like I don't really understand the difference between the two. Other than
hot has become a new medium.
Yeah, exactly. So I always was very confused at Taco Bell when I'm getting my burrito supreme and my taco supreme and my nachos Bel Grande as to what sauce I was really desiring on those things.
All right. Finally, the world's oldest semen is still viable 50 years after it was first stored.
I didn't see this on the lineup.
Creepy scientists took frozen sperm from a ram, thawed it, and used it to impregnate 34 sheep in Australia, meaning the donor, Sir Freddie, has still got it after being dead since 1969. Nice. The scientists believe it is the oldest sperm ever to produce offspring, and it is the oldest viable stored semen of any species. Harrison, what do your experts say?
Well, listen, I as a biochemist, I have looked into this, and I got to tell you, it's going to take somebody of a much greater IQ than mine to fully comprehend how you are able to freeze living semen and reanimate it years later. I don't understand how that works. Like, I've seen Demolition
Science.
Man, and I think Sonny, it's one of Sonny's top
Demolition
5
Man is awesome.
movies of all time.
Also has Taco Bell.
Yeah, also a Taco Bell
That's
movie.
the only chain that's left.
No. Taco Bell is the only restaurant left in the world in Demolition Man, which makes it the perfect.
Yes. After the restaurant.
Yeah,
restaurant for
because
this segment.
and you can't use salt
Yes.
because it's a progressive utopian future.
Well, when they had Sly in the Sly and Simon Phoenix trapped in the liquid solid nitrogen, they didn't really describe what it was, but there was like a little blue capsule that would come in and reanimate them. So I don't know if that's how they it would like
Sir
explode.
Freddie, I don't know. That's probably what they did. To
Yeah,
him.
I don't know what the electrical probe is, the cattle prod or whatever that they put on all the jizz, but like to get it to come back to life. But to me, it doesn't make any sense. Like if you can freeze sperm and reanimate it 50 years later, why can't you do the same with human bodies? Ted Williams' head is still sitting in a cryogenic freezer right now.
We need to clone him and beat Mike
Love to.
Trout's contract.
I would love to see Teddy Ballgame back in the game today.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today's edition of Right and Writer. I'd like to give a special thanks to our producer, LB Ford, and of course, our Free Beacon guests, Matthew Cottonetti, Aaron Harrison, and Paul Crookston. Remember, find us on iTunes, Google Play, and Stitcher. Just search for Free Beacon. Please subscribe, tell your friends, and leave a positive review like listener Justin J1, who says, fine listening, miss an episode, and you miss real insight on what's being fed to you by the left. Until next time.